Most women over 60 take pride in staying clean. They shower, use fresh clothes, apply deodorant, and often spritz on a nice scent. They've spent a lifetime learning how to present themselves with grace. But here's what no one ever told them. There's a quiet, invisible shift that happens after a certain age, and even the most polished women aren't immune to it. You might not notice it, but others do. And sometimes, they won't tell you. There's a subtle scent that starts to linger, not from sweat, not from poor hygiene, but from something deeper. It can show up even when you've done everything right. Maybe you've walked past someone and caught a faint odor you couldn't place, and for a split second, you wondered if it was you. Maybe a grandchild made an offhand comment that left you smiling outside but aching inside. This isn't about shame. It's about awareness. Doctors are now warning senior women about 6 specific areas of the body and daily life that, when overlooked, can cause that faint, musty scent that's unfairly labeled the old person smell. It's not your fault, and it's completely preventable. So before you assume it's just part of aging, let's look at the 6 hidden areas that could be affecting how others experience your presence. Because every woman deserves to age with confidence, freshness, and pride in who she is. Ida Mae was the kind of woman who never missed a detail. At 74, she still ironed her pillowcases, kept a garden of desert roses blooming in her Arizona yard, and had a drawer full of floral-scented lotions organized by season. She believed aging with grace wasn't just about appearances. It was about keeping her pride intact, no matter what. Her bathroom shelves were neatly lined with soaps and creams, and she never went to bed without brushing her teeth, washing her face, and slipping into a clean nightgown. People often complimented her on how well she carried herself. Even the mailman once said, "You've got the most put-together energy on this block." She smiled at that. She always assumed that being clean, respectful, and put together was enough to keep her dignity intact. But something happened one summer afternoon that flipped her world upside down. Her grandson, Julian, had just returned from camp and was helping unpack groceries from the trunk. As he leaned in to hug her, he scrunched up his nose and said it. "Grandma smells like my school bus." He didn't mean it to hurt. He was just being honest, like kids are. But in that moment, time seemed to freeze. Ida Mae laughed it off with a joke about old seat cushions and air fresheners. But once she got back in her car, alone, she sat in silence. Her smile faded, and then the tears came. It wasn't just the comment, it was what it represented. Had people been noticing something she couldn't smell herself? Had her efforts to stay clean and elegant fallen short? That night, she stayed up late scrolling through her tablet, reading medical articles, health blogs, and personal forums. The words "too Nonenal" came up again and again. She learned that even if you're clean, your body changes in ways that aren't always visible and aren't talked about. Especially not to women who spent their whole lives trying not to be a burden, trying to stay invisible. That night changed something in her. Not in a sad way, but in a powerful one. It was the beginning of Ida Mae learning that she hadn't failed herself. She had just never been taught the full truth. If you've ever caught a faint, sour, or waxy scent on your clothes, even right after a shower, and thought, "But I just cleaned myself," you're not imagining things. What you're smelling isn't regular body odor. It's something much more specific, and it's been quietly frustrating millions of older women across the country. It's called too Nonenal, a compound that the body starts producing more of as we age, especially after menopause. Unlike regular sweat or dirt, which can be washed away with soap and water, too Nonenal is stubborn. It binds to fabrics, lingers in folds of skin, and builds up slowly until you notice a smell that doesn't go away, even after you've scrubbed. But here's the truth that no one tells you. This isn't a sign of neglect. It's biology. After age 60, your skin's natural oils change in composition. The body starts to produce more unsaturated fatty acids, and at the same time, your antioxidant defenses begin to weaken. This combination leads to oxidation, similar to what happens when metal rusts or fruit browns. That oxidation releases too Nonenal, which carries a scent that's sometimes described as grassy, oily, or faintly like old paper. And the reason most women have never heard of it? It's because no one likes to talk about the chemical side of aging. It sounds clinical, uncomfortable, even a little shameful. But it shouldn't be. Just like wrinkles or gray hair, this is a natural shift in your body's chemistry. It doesn't mean you're dirty or lazy, it means you're human. And it's happening to countless women, quietly, every day. Unfortunately, most personal care products don't target this issue. Traditional soap isn't designed to break down oxidized oils. And perfume, that only masks the scent for a moment, then mixes with it to create something even more noticeable. The key isn't stronger fragrances or more scrubbing. The key is awareness and knowing exactly where this compound collects. That's why the next part of this video matters so much. These 6 often forgotten areas of the body and home aren't about vanity. They're about dignity. Once you start gently tending to them, the change isn't just physical, it's emotional. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop pulling away from hugs. You stop wondering if others notice something you can't smell, because you'll know you've taken back control. Area number 1, hairbrush handles and combs. It's one of those things we use almost every day without a second thought, our hairbrush. Most women over 60 are diligent about rinsing out hair from the bristles, maybe even giving them a quick wash under warm water once in a while. But the part we almost never clean? The handle. And that handle is where the quiet trouble begins. Every time you pick up your brush, your fingers leave behind natural oils, lotions, skin cells, and the microscopic debris we all carry. Add in Arizona's dry air or Florida's humidity, wherever you live, and dust settles into those oils. What you end up with over time is a sticky film that may not look dirty but holds onto bacteria and oxidized oils like a sponge. Ida Mae didn't believe it at first. Her brush didn't smell. It didn't look grimy. But after her grandson's comment, she started examining every corner of her daily routine. That night, she poured a mix of white vinegar and squeezed lemon into a bowl and dropped in her favorite brush, handle and all. She let it sit overnight. The next morning, the water was a cloudy yellow with floating bits she couldn't identify. She was shocked. She had washed her hair just the day before, but now she realized she'd been combing clean hair with a bacteria-laden, oil-soaked handle. And every stroke had been reapplying that musty residue she couldn't even smell herself. The truth is, Nonenal doesn't just come from skin, it clings to the tools that touch it. That includes your brush. Think of how often you touch it with slightly oily hands, or set it down on a countertop that's not perfectly clean. Over time, the buildup is inevitable. But here's the good news. Fixing this takes less than 10 minutes a week. Soak your brush handles and combs once a week in a simple solution. Equal parts white vinegar and warm water, with a few drops of lemon juice or tea tree oil if you prefer. Use an old toothbrush to scrub the handle, especially around the edges where grime hides. Let it dry completely before using. This one small habit could be the reason you suddenly feel fresher and more confident when you're near others. Have you ever cleaned the handle of your brush? Honestly, most people haven't. Let us know in the comments. We want to hear how many of us are just now realizing this forgotten step. And stay tuned, because the next overlooked area might be sitting right next to your pillow. Area number 2, nose creases and nostril edges. It's one of the smallest areas on your face, yet one of the biggest offenders when it comes to that faint, lingering scent associated with aging. The skin around your nostrils, especially the creases on either side of the nose, is a warm, moist zone that traps everything from oxidized facial oils to environmental pollutants. And here's what's most surprising. Even the most meticulous face washers, women who double cleanse, exfoliate, and moisturize religiously, often miss this tiny zone entirely. Ida Mae was one of them. She had always been proud of her skincare routine. She used a gentle cleanser morning and night, patted her face dry with a soft towel, and followed up with a lightweight moisturizer. She even used a jade roller on her cheeks and forehead. But not once had she thought to clean the small creases at the sides of her nose. They weren't dry. They didn't flake. So she assumed they were fine. But during her deep dive into aging and body odor, she came across an article written by a dermatologist that stopped her cold. It said, the folds around the nostrils are one of the most commonly missed areas when it comes to facial hygiene, and one of the first to accumulate Nonenal. Suddenly, memories rushed back. How she'd sometimes feel a faint tackiness there during the day, or how her glasses would leave a slightly oily film near her nose pads. It wasn't just sweat. It was oxidized sebum, broken down skin oil, which carries that musty, waxy scent most people can't place but instantly recognize. She decided to try something simple. She soaked a soft cotton pad in witch hazel and gently swiped the area around her nostrils, including the sides and just under the edges. She was shocked to see what came off: tiny traces of yellow-gray residue that didn't show up during regular washing. After doing this once a week, she noticed a shift, not just in how her face felt, but how fresh it stayed throughout the day. Her confidence came back, especially during close interactions. No more wondering, can they smell something I can't? If you're over 60, your skin behaves differently. It holds onto certain compounds longer. And when we ignore tiny areas, like the nose creases, they become quiet contributors to a scent we're not even aware of. This isn't about being obsessive. It's about being aware. A quick swipe once a week with witch hazel, micellar water, or even a mild toner is enough. And it's gentle, no harsh scrubbing needed. Do you include this tiny spot in your routine? Be honest, most people don't. Drop a comment below if this surprised you too, and stay tuned. The next forgotten area is hiding in plain sight every single night. Area number 3, underwear waistbands and bra linings. They're the closest fabrics to your skin, worn every single day. And while most women over 60 are meticulous about washing their undergarments, there's a hidden truth many don't realize. Elastic waistbands and bra linings quietly absorb the oils, sweat, and oxidized compounds your skin releases, and they often hold on to them even after washing. Ida Mae always thought her laundry routine was spotless. Like many older women, she used a gentle detergent, ran everything on a delicate cycle, and air-dried her garments to preserve the fabric. Her bras still looked pristine. Her underwear was always folded neatly, but something kept bothering her. At the end of long, warm days, she'd notice it, that faint, tired scent that didn't quite smell like sweat, but wasn't fresh either. She assumed it was just normal aging, maybe even her imagination. Until one day, when she held one of her freshly laundered bras to her face and realized the scent was there before she even wore it. That's when she started investigating. What she learned was surprisingly simple and a little frustrating. Washing machines, especially when set to cold or gentle cycles, don't always break down the oxidized body oils trapped in elastic. Over time, those oils react with air, yes, more oxidation, and create that musty, stale scent that clings to waistbands and bra linings no matter how many times you wash them. She remembered something her mother used to do with the family's cotton dish rags, soaking them in a mix of salt, vinegar, and hot water to remove smells. So Ida Mae adapted the method. She heated a basin of water until it was almost too hot to touch, added a few tablespoons of white vinegar, a handful of salt, and the juice of a lemon. She dropped in 3 of her most used undergarments, bras and briefs, and let them sit for 30 minutes. When she pulled them out, the water was tinted and cloudy. The faint odor? Gone. She repeated the process once a month and noticed a remarkable difference, not just in how the garments smelled, but how they felt on her body. There's a certain emotional weight to wearing clothes that don't feel fresh, even if no one else can smell it. It can chip away at your confidence, especially in social settings or doctor's appointments. But Ida Mae learned that the solution didn't require fancy products or harsh chemicals, just an old-school soak that revives what regular washing leaves behind. If your clothes still smell tired, even after washing, you're not alone. Do you ever rewash something? Not because it's dirty, but because of how it smells? Tell us in the comments. And keep watching, because the next overlooked spot is part of your daily ritual and almost no one thinks to clean it. Area number 4, eyeglass arms and hearing aid creases. They sit behind your ears, touching your skin for hours every single day. Yet very few people, even the most hygiene conscious, ever think to clean them. We're talking about the arms of your eyeglasses and the small creases and casings on hearing aids. Ida Mae had been wearing glasses since she was in her 40s. By 74, they were as much a part of her face as her smile. She was diligent about wiping her lenses daily with a microfiber cloth. After all, she needed to see clearly. But what she didn't realize, until a visit to the dermatologist, was that her real issue wasn't what she could see, but what she couldn't. During a routine skin check, The doctor gently lifted the arm of her glasses and ran, a gloved finger behind her ear. "Do you ever get itching or a faint smell here?" he asked. She hadn't, or at least hadn't noticed. But when he showed her the thin layer of residue collected where the arm rested against her skin, oils, old lotion, and microscopic skin flakes, it made her stomach turn. The doctor explained that this buildup is common, especially in older adults. Why? Because after 60, our skin cell turnover slows down, and we naturally produce more waxy oils like Nonenal. Combine that with close contact devices like glasses and hearing aids, and you get the perfect storm for trapped odor. Ida Mae immediately thought back to all the social moments where she'd leaned in close to talk to someone. Birthday parties, family dinners, even quiet church conversations. Had others noticed a smell she couldn't? She didn't waste time. That night, she took an alcohol-free wipe, the kind used for baby care or gentle skin cleaning, and carefully cleaned the full length of her glasses' arms. She paid special attention to the parts that curved around her ears and touched her temples. She repeated the same process with a cotton swab around the edges of her hearing aid casing. What came off shocked her. Pale yellow grime that had built up gradually, invisible to the eye but unmistakable once it was removed. She made it a weekly habit. It took less than 2 minutes, and the result was a quiet return of self-assurance. She no longer second-guessed herself during close conversations or hugs. If you wear glasses or hearing aids, think about this. When was the last time you really cleaned them? Not just the lenses or the visible parts, but the arms, the creases, the parts that touch your skin all day long. When did you last clean your hearing aid or the sides of your glasses? Be honest. You might be surprised what you find the first time you do. Drop a comment below and keep watching, because the next area might be one you lie on every single night. Area number 5, the backside of upper arms. It's one of the most forgotten areas on the body, not because it's unimportant, but because it's almost impossible to see without twisting, turning, or using a second mirror. The backside of the upper arms quietly collects the evidence of time: slower blood flow, decreased lymphatic drainage, looser skin, and the gradual buildup of dead skin cells. And yet, most women over 60 never think to give it any special attention. Ida Mae certainly didn't. She wore cardigans and long-sleeved blouses year-round, partly out of modesty, partly because air conditioning made her chilly. She showered regularly and moisturized her arms after drying off, believing that was enough. But one afternoon, while doing laundry, she noticed something odd. The sleeves of her tops had a faint, papery smell, almost like old books or dried leaves. She initially thought it was her detergent, then maybe her washing machine. But when she tried switching products and the smell persisted, she began to wonder if it was coming from her. Curious, she began gently examining her skin and noticed a slight roughness on the back of her upper arms. Nothing painful, just dry and flaky. She hadn't noticed it before. It didn't itch or show, but it was there. That night, she dove into research and came across something intriguing. As we age, certain areas of the skin stop exfoliating themselves naturally. And the back of the upper arms, due to its reduced circulation and constant rubbing from sleeves, can become a sort of quiet zone where dead skin accumulates and oxidized oils cling. These trapped compounds can produce a faint odor that lingers on clothing fibers, even after laundering. The solution? Dry brushing. Ida Mae bought a soft, natural bristle brush with a long handle. Twice a week before her shower, she'd gently brush the back of her arms in long, upward strokes, starting from the elbow and moving toward the shoulder. It took less than a minute. Within 2 weeks, her skin felt smoother. The dry, almost papery scent she used to notice in her sleeves began to disappear. And unexpectedly, her confidence improved. There was something empowering about knowing that she was reclaiming control over a part of her body she hadn't thought about in decades. That experience taught her a valuable lesson. Just because something is out of sight doesn't mean it's out of impact. And sometimes, the areas we ignore the most are the ones quietly shaping how we feel about ourselves. So, let's ask a simple question. Which body part do you think you've been ignoring for too long? Let us know in the comments, and stay with us, because the next area is so small, you'll be shocked it's even on this list, yet it might be one of the worst offenders. Area number 6. The base of the toenails. Most people assume that clean feet mean clean toenails. A quick scrub in the shower, a bit of soap between the toes, and a towel dry, and it's done. But what if the most stubborn, embarrassing scent isn't coming from your foot, but from a tiny, neglected zone just beneath the edge of your toenail? That's what Ida Mae discovered one quiet afternoon while helping her neighbor, Ruth, set up for a book club meeting. Ruth had a strict shoes off at the door rule, and as Ida slipped off her flats, she caught a faint but unmistakable smell, sharp, sour, and slightly musty. She looked down at her polished toes and well-moisturized heels and thought, "It can't be me." But later that night, still bothered, she did something she hadn't done in years. She took a magnifying mirror and gently examined under her toenails. What she found shocked her. Even though her nails looked clean and trimmed, the tiny ridges at the base, the narrow gap between skin and nail, were holding on to a mix of soap scum, shed skin, and sweat residue. Not visible at a glance, not itchy or painful, but definitely there. She had always assumed her daily shower took care of everything. But here was proof. Time, heat, and closed-toe shoes had created a tiny trap that no one talks about. A perfect breeding ground for a smell she now realized wasn't coming from her shoes, but from her. Determined to fix it without harsh chemicals or fancy gadgets, Ida Mae found a solution that felt just right for sensitive aging skin. She bought a soft baby toothbrush, dipped it in warm water with a drop of tea tree oil, and gently scrubbed under each toenail once a week. No scraping, no digging, just a careful, soothing sweep to lift away what shouldn't be there. The change? Subtle, but powerful. Her feet felt fresher. Her shoes smelled better. But more than that, she stopped hesitating when visiting friends with no-shoe homes. She no longer worried about slipping off her flats at the doctor's office or during her weekly senior yoga class. That sense of freedom, of not hiding or second-guessing, meant everything. This area may be small, but it holds big weight when it comes to confidence. So let's talk honestly. Be honest. Have you ever cleaned under your toenails beyond just trimming them? Let us know in the comments. And if you've made it this far, the final message may just change how you view aging from this day forward. These weren't surgeries. These weren't spa treatments or expensive creams. They were quiet, tiny habits, just minutes a week. But after 2 weeks, Ida Mae noticed something had changed, something deeper than scent. It wasn't just that her clothes smelled fresher or that the air around her felt lighter. It was a feeling, one she hadn't felt in years. She caught herself laughing more, leaning in closer during conversations, not recoiling when someone gave her a tight hug. She no longer scanned people's faces, wondering, can they smell something I can't? That background noise, those quiet insecurities, went silent. It hit her one morning at her church women's breakfast. As she hugged an old friend who hadn't seen her in months, the woman smiled and said, "Ida Mae, you always smell so clean and warm, like sunshine and linen." She didn't flinch. She didn't second-guess it. She believed it, because deep down, she finally felt it too. And what changed her wasn't some magic product. It was the simple act of reclaiming forgotten spaces on her body, the overlooked, the ignored, the written off. It was realizing that age doesn't have to mean fading quietly into the background. That dignity, pride, and personal care don't expire. And that scent, the most primal, emotional of our senses, can become a source of joy again, not shame. For Ida Mae, it wasn't just about smell. It was about self-worth. And sometimes, it's the smallest shifts, ones no one else sees, that carry the biggest emotional weight. So if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever worried someone might pull away during a hug, if you've ever wondered whether that faint, musty scent in the room could be you, know this: it's not too late to take control, not just of your body, but of how you feel in your body. Let us know in the comments. What's one thing you do to feel truly fresh, confident, and you? And don't go yet, because the final takeaway might just be the reminder every woman over 60 needs to hear today. Aging is not a decline, it's a transition. But somewhere along the way, society started whispering that older women should shrink, blend in, fade quietly. And for many, the fear of old person smell becomes one more reason to feel self-conscious, like your body is betraying you. But here's the truth: you are not powerless. You are not invisible, and you are not alone. Those 6 forgotten areas aren't just about hygiene, they're about respect. Respecting your body, your presence, and your right to take up space with pride. It's not vanity to care how you smell when someone leans in. It's not shallow to want to feel fresh and pleasant. It's about self-worth, dignity, the quiet power of knowing you've done something for you, even if no one sees it. Ida Mae didn't change her identity. She reclaimed it. And you can too. Aging doesn't have to come with shame or hesitation. You can choose to carry yourself with boldness, warmth, and freshness. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because you deserve to feel good in your own skin. So if today's message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Tap that like button, not for us, but for you, for choosing to care, for choosing to grow, for choosing yourself. Subscribe to this channel, Better Aging Advice, for real talk, smart tips, and fresh ways to feel strong, sharp, and respected at every stage of your life. And please, don't keep this to yourself. Share it with a sister, a neighbor, a fellow churchgoer, someone who might be silently wondering if she's the only one. Because every woman over 60 deserves to feel fresh, powerful, and proud of who she's becoming. Let's age with grace, not apology, with wisdom, and with joy.